Hey folks, it is Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. You're listening to the Daily Ledger Show, and I'm your host, Dennis Sert. Great to be here with you tonight. We got some good stories we're going to get into. Anthropic chief back in talks with the Pentagon about OpenAI deal. It's kind of wild. It's going to be our flagship story. Who needs data centers in space when they can float offshore? X taps William Shatner to give out invites to its payment service X Money. Trump announces AI industry pledge to pay for power. Apple's $599 MacBook Neo, the pros and cons. Those are our stories we're going to get into. Before we get into it, make sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube, follow if you're on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And yeah, make sure to share this with all your friends. Let's get into it. So this is kind of wild. Anthropic chief back in talks with Pentagon about AI deal. So it's funny because Anthropic gained a lot of clout just from consumers in general. Basically overtook OpenAI, just direct to consumer, kind of last Friday, Monday, Tuesday, right? Both in the App Store as the top app on the App Store, as well as just OpenAI kind of shitting the bed with their uninstalls jumping from like 29% to 295% earlier this week. And it was kind of bad because, there was definitely a point in time where OpenAI was like light years ahead of everybody. And then suddenly OpenAI is kind of like the bitch, like kind of the beta male. You know what I mean? It's like OpenAI is like picking up the sloppy seconds, if you will. Like you can think of the Department of War as like this really, really hot girl, right? Hot woman, lady. And then, there's Anthropic, and then there's OpenAI. And OpenAI, in this example, is kind of like, like maybe the chess player, maybe like the nerd, oh, hey man, how's it going, and then Anthropic is like the star quarterback, and then it's like the star quarterback and the top cheerleader, right? Department of War just kind of broke up, and then they're like, okay, well, fuck you, and then now they broke up, and then now it's like, the chess player or whatever. I don't know how many chess players are getting with cheerleaders, but it's like, it's like, oh hey, like, pulls up to the cheerleader, like, oh, I heard you were single, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, point being, Altman is kind of in this position where it's like he's taking sloppy seconds, and then suddenly all the consumers, apparently who are all just liberals, are just like uninstalling ChatGPT and stuff. It's just massive fallout, like I mentioned. And then now, just to kind of put the cherry on top, suddenly the star quarterback, Anthropic, is like, hey, well, we might not actually be broken up. Anthropic chief back in talks with Pentagon about AI deal. Now, isn't that funny? Imagine if Anthropic walks away, just clearing OpenAI, leaving them in the dust, even with direct-to-consumer and a Department of War deal in their pocket. How about that? Now, would anyone have seen that coming? No. That's wild. Anthropic chief executive Dario Amodei is making a last-ditch attempt to strike a deal with the U.S. Defense Department after the breakdown of negotiations last week. left his company at risk of being frozen out of the military supply chain. So what is Amode going to say? Well, yeah, last week I wasn't really into mass domestic surveillance, even though it's already happening. But still, I'm against it. And then now he's going to like, you know what? I changed my mind over the past week. We just really need to surveil just all of our citizens. We need to surveil all of them. Oh, right. I mean, like what changed, right? So imagine the deal goes through with Anthropic. What changed? Okay. It's like suddenly, I thought about it. I am actually into automated AI killing. You know what I mean? It's like I slept on it. It's like, yeah, imagine like you decided not to buy like a used car, and then the night after you're like, I thought about it, and you call up the used car salesman. He's like, you know what? Actually, I decided I'll go ahead and buy it. Right. So it's like same thing, except with like automated AI weapons. Right. So it's like, you know what? I decided that I'm actually for just like automated AI killing and mass domestic surveillance. So, yeah, I'll take it. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Yeah. Okay. The attempt to reach a compromise agreement follows a spectacular collapse of talks last week. We haven't given dictator style praise to Trump. Oh, okay. Okay. It's funny because it's like, oh my god, yeah, stick it. All the liberals, uninstalling ChatGPT suddenly. It's like, oh my god. First of all, OpenAI is pretty liberal, so it's like I don't even whatever. Like, that aside. The other thing is though, it's like, yeah, we're gonna stick it to the man. Yeah, you know what? Trump's a king, no kings, whatever. And then when Biden gets in bed with Pfizer and then Moderna and everyone, it's like, AstraZeneca, and then suddenly, they mandate it everywhere. All the liberals who are like, oh my god, uninstalling ChatGPT, they're all quiet. They're like, yes, yes, please vaccinate me, please. I need it. I need the gene therapy. Just change my DNA. Please, government, change it now. It's like, these bitches weren't uninstalling ChatGPT then, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh my god. Who needs data centers in space when they can float offshore? So the idea here is like, okay, now they're trying to build, like, people have been talking about putting data centers in AI, or oh my god, data centers in space since like October of last year. With Elon Musk and then all the San Francisco people. And so now they're talking about like, okay, well, space, how about offshore, right? So I guess they're kind of, I guess, these startups specifically are wanting to build data centers kind of off the coast of Norway and stuff like that, right? And it's wild because, they're actively attacking these data centers now. Like, that's why Claude went down a couple of days ago. It's because they somebody shot a missile and bombed the AWS data center in the Middle East. So, yeah, and it was really funny because, like, the article, it was like, oh, a fire came up. Yeah, fire because a missile blew it up. That's why. Yeah. So anyways, it's like a burglar comes in your house, steals everything. It's like, wow, I feel like I misplaced something. It's like, no, a burglar came and stole it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, what happens when analogously a tsunami just happens to hit the data center? It's like, wow, the data center flooded, guys. But meanwhile, some weapon or something like. Yeah. And it's like, what's with them trying to put data centers everywhere, like in space, offshore, stick a data center up your ass, right? It's like, where else are they going to put it? You know what I mean? X taps William Shatner to give out invites to its payment service X Money. Okay. So it's PayPal or Venmo, but It's a new version. Okay. Well, how many times is Elon gonna do this? For God's sake, is he gonna have like a X money mafia or something like that? X money mafia. Oh my god. Trump announces AI industry pledge to pay for power. Companies including Google, Microsoft, and OpenAI committed to pay for their power plants and grid updates needed to run their data centers. Yeah, because everyone, the public started, like public sentiment started kind of weaning away from data centers and stuff. Because, I mean, the whole debacle with uninstalling ChatGPT and the uninstall rate going up to 295%, like people don't, I mean, how much do they really care about AI if they can just throw away their whole X memory thing? Like, I actually opted out the day they came out with X memory because it's like, I mean, I look like I've been pretty open about surveillance. Like, they're always everybody is. You just assume anything you do ever, anything you say ever, like both in person and kind of like digitally, obviously. Imagine just like every spy agency in the world, all the big tech players like Meta, they just instantly have access to it and it's added to like your little digital portfolio, right? But that being said, I also don't want to kind of hand my data on a silver platter, right? So I did turn off ChatGPT memory kind of the day it came out. Anyways, but that is to say, like, a lot of people seem to really like ChatGPT memory, right? And they had like this sort of like almost Spotify unwrapped, analogous thing in December of last year, and everyone was talking about it. So it's like, despite all of that investment that kind of the normies put into ChatGPT, right? They're willing, like, years of, so-called memory, right? They're just willing to just uninstall and just like, oh, I hate Trump. Uninstall ChatGPT. Yeah, that'll show him. And then suddenly it's like, okay, blank slate with Claude. All right. By the way, Claude has kind of sucked for the past like 2 or 3 days. Like, I'm a power user with Claude Code, and let me tell you, performance has degraded recently. Like, in the past few days, it's fucking sucked. Like, it's gotten dumber. So I don't know. Is it the usage? Is it all these people jumping on and being like, "Oh my god, like, let me install Claude." But yeah, the point being is like they're willing to throw away their ChatGPT memory at the drop of a hat for especially if it's politically motivated. And then what? Right? It's like, point being, they don't really, most people I think don't actually care that much about AI, right? Especially if you're like a normie. And so anyways, that would mean if people don't care much about AI, they also don't care about data centers, right? And that's kind of where things are going. Bernie Sanders a few months ago came out and was like, oh, well, you know what? We need to put a moratorium on data centers, right? So, of course, kind of puts a stick up the ass of these big AI companies. They need to kind of like reassure everybody that, like, hey, like, we're going to pay for it. It's like, okay. Apple's $599. Well, and let me just like put a pin on this point. The idea, of course, is like the more data centers there are, the more like electricity it pulls from the grid, the higher the prices go for the consumers. So that's kind of the idea. Apple's $599 MacBook Neo, the pros and cons. So, okay, they made a cheap-ish laptop. I mean, it's colorful. It's basically a potato. I guess it uses like an advanced iPhone chip. So immediately I think, okay, they're competing with Chromebook or something like whatever. Yeah, I mean, there's no notch, there's no dynamic island. They just made the bezels thicker, and I don't like it. It looks kind of like 2016-esque. You know what I mean? Like, I thought we got past the thick bezels. It just kind of looks disgusting. for that reason alone. And what's funny is that with the 17E, and let's end on this, it's funny because they went back to the notch, which we haven't seen since like the iPhone 13, I want to say, around there. And it's like, okay. And here's the thing, like the dynamic island that the newer iPhones have, it almost looks worse than the notch. And I've always thought that. And now that I see Apple kind of putting the notch back into their iPhone, albeit this isn't the flagship, it makes me think, do they also think that the dynamic island wasn't as cool as the notch? I mean, like not even as like, yeah, the dynamic island's cool, but it's like, I don't know, it kind of does take up a little bit more space, and it's not really as aesthetic as the notch, because the notch is like against the bezel, and the dynamic island is just kind of like, like a shit stain on the screen. You know what I mean? It's like, get away from me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyways, okay. So I think we can leave it there for tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.